In the world, what up, what up, what up? All right, so I made a post in Telegram, but I had an issue with my audio mixer. It just completely died yesterday. So I had to get that fixed today. Sorry the stream is late. It's not going to be super long, but we'll be back and on the official schedule tomorrow. I spent most of the day getting stuff ready, and we're pretty much good to go. So what is up? What is up? Someone said the kick ended on live, but we're still live on Kick. So shout out to the people over on Kick. Much love, much love. All right, so pretty interesting stream here. We touched a bit on it on the last stream, but I just ran across some pretty crazy stuff, and I got to break this down for you guys. But yeah, it looks like Trump, everything, like basically we're just completely watching a movie. Everything about the whole assassination attempt and the ballroom and the UFOs, it's all scripted, it's all planned, and not working on Kick. Can I get a feedback on Kick? Or are people just trolling me, you know? Just gets on my nerves. I'm watching it on Kick, so. They're just trolling me. So, cool. So, it's just all very weird, right? If you look at the thumbnail, you'll see like Trump with his crown and some UFOs in the background and Baal, the ballroom. It's pretty wild. So we're just going to get into it. Quite a bit of stuff to show you. We'll start by playing one of Iran's latest videos. If you don't know, Iran puts out these videos, typically on X, and it's like Lego parodies where it'll have like rap or some music playing, kind of making fun of whatever has gone on the last day or so. And it's kind of funny, honestly. So we'll play a video, and then we're going to run through some stuff pretty quick. Sub on Kick if you're not. It helps me out quite a bit. Got to get some subs on Kick to get verified. All right, here we go.
News, breaking news, coming in live. Washington, D.C. April 25, the White House Correspondents' Dinner was set. The biggest night the press corps could get. Cameras rolling, reporters in their seats. Nobody knew what was coming down the streets. The Washington Post dressed up real fine. Every journalist standing right in line. Politicians seated, cabinet in place. Trump and Melania smiling, taking their space. J.D. Vance was there, the whole administration too. RFK Jr. in the room with a view. The dinner was fancy, the crowd hyped. Nobody had a clue the evening would be swiped. 8:30 p.m., the chandelier shine. Everything was peaceful, everything was fine. And somewhere near the lobby, near the checkpoint door, something nobody expected hit the floor. A man came walking in with weapons on him loaded, charged straight at security before the scene exploded. Secret Service agents yelled out, "Shots fired!" And in that single moment, the whole night expired.
You feel that, Ran? The way the shit's sticking to the air?
You know what a shit barometer is, Bob?
All right. So let's get into some of this stuff. This stuff is crazy. It's pretty funny they just troll the U.S. They're just smart, right? They just see what Americans aren't happy about, and then they just go say it. Wow. Americans are just pissed. They're getting lied to constantly. All right. So we're going to cover two main things: the ballroom, and actually, I'll just share this whole thing right here. Okay. For one, if you don't know, a few days ago, Trump posted this to his Truth Social, him depicted as Christ. That's a real thing. That's a real post. And he was asked about it because he got obvious backlash and said that he just thought it was him as a doctor. Bro. Okay. So pretty interesting. Now, what does the Antichrist prophecy say, right? It says he's going to build a temple, he's going to sit in the temple, and he's going to claim to be God. All right. So if you go back a little bit, Trump fired the people that were building the ballroom, and he hired a new architect, and it's the same Jewish architect that rebuilt the Pentagon after 9/11. It's an architecture company that specializes in building Jewish synagogues. If you're on a browser, open up an extra window and kick a few instance staying on YouTube. Help a brother out. Kick is preferable. All right. So that's weird, right? That's pretty weird. It's just a ballroom. If you guys don't know, right? Like you have this room, like where the correspondence dinner is, and it like notoriously houses like the most famous, most important dinners and events. Okay. A few days ago, you have an assassination attempt where all kinds of people come out, and we covered this in the last stream, talking about there was no security, you just walked right in, it makes no sense, whatever. Immediately afterwards, there's like 5 shots. This guy runs past Secret Service, gets shot at, doesn't get hit. A Secret Serviceman gets hit in the leg. Somehow he gets contained, subdued, no injuries. Immediately, the manifesto comes out the next day. Immediately afterwards, Trump is posting to Truth Social, and he's posting a video of security footage of him just sprinting past Secret Service. And then he immediately starts talking about a ballroom and how they need the ballroom. They need the ballroom. They need it for security, all this stuff. Okay. So check this out. So what I didn't know when I did that stream was recently there was a lawsuit about the building of the ballroom, and a judge ruled on it. And what we'll do first is, this is so crazy. It's just like so blatantly a psyop. The judge ruled on it and said that you can't have your ballroom unless there's like legitimate security concerns.
It's
All
about
right, here we go. Let's listen to him when he first announces the ballroom. This is wild. This whole thing is just wild.
$300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor a foreign leader, we have proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables hold about 79 people. I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors to it. The government's paying absolutely nothing.
Okay, that's what he says at first. He says around 300. They now say like around 350, 370. So around $300 million is what he says. A billionaire, a few years ago, he wanted to build a replica of Solomon's temple. And he builds this really immaculate temple right here. And guess how much it costs? $300 million. So pretty interesting. It's in the same ballpark of price here. Let's see what your boy Trump wants to keep saying here.
The great ballrooms anywhere in the world. A foreign leader, we have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people. But I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors to it. The government's paying absolutely nothing. We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect. And the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful.
So I'm, looking at these renderings, and it kind of got me thinking, he's likely going to go down as the greatest builder of this era. And you've been in on a lot of those meetings with him. Has, to your knowledge, has the subject of rebuilding the Holy Temple in Jerusalem come up?
It has not. No, it has not. I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Melania Trump expressed her dissatisfaction with President Donald Trump's plans to demolish the East Wing of the White House to create a new ballroom.
There was a report that Melania didn't love this idea. Is that true?
She loved her little tiny office, but you know what? She's very smart. In about one day, if you would ask her now, she says it's great. But just so you understand, the East Wing sounds good, right? It sounds good. But the East Wing, that building was renovated 20 times, including adding a floor to the top, which was terrible. It was out of common brick, little tiny windows. It looked like hell. It had nothing to do with the original building. And I didn't want to sacrifice a great ballroom for an okay ballroom by leaving it right smack in the middle.
Now here is the ground plan for the Temple of Solomon. Here's Solomon's Temple, the ground plan. And you'll see there Jacob and Boaz. And there's the Holy, and then there's the Most Holy. And we're told that there's a veil between the Holy and the Most Holy. Okay? And the only way you can get to God is tear through the veil.
We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think.
Okay, we're going to go back to this video in a second. Okay, so like I said, when they decide to change the people that are building it, they get this guy here. An architecture company that specializes in building Jewish synagogues, like temples. Time of Israel, it's got the whole article here. Okay. So if you look at the blueprints here, this is Solomon's temple based on the first book of Kings description of how to build the temple. And here is the blueprint of the temple, of the ballroom. The ballroom, bro. Okay. Now, it could be a coincidence, right? We're going to cover that much more in depth in just a second. Okay. So here is a bit of a breakdown of the architecture. It's just crazy, bro. It's actually ridiculous. We get so deep too because there's like a occultic, esoteric, like femininity and masculinity component to the building of the temple. And then you have like the one area in the White House that's for the First Lady in the East Wing, and they just demolished it. And now they're rebuilding the masculine exterior with the feminine interior, fulfilling like the occultic description of Solomon's temple. Everything about it, when you start to actually look into the specifics, it is very clearly he's rebuilding Solomon's temple. It's insane. It's insane. Some people are claiming that he's building the third temple and that the Jews are going to build their temple as Solomon's temple, and that the Middle East is a misdirection, and that Washington, D.C. is actually, where Jerusalem is. And we may cover that theory just to cover it, just to see if there's anything there in a future stream, but I'll have to put that all together and make sure I have like a full presentation for you. But I think an important thing to show you first, and we showed this in the last stream, but so Trump, there's like a get America to go back to reading the Bible week or whatever. So Trump comes to read a Bible verse. So out of all the Bible verses that Donald Trump can choose to read, and the general premise is just get Christians to go back to reading the Bible, get America to go back to reading the Bible. This literally ended on the 25th of April. So right at the time of the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. Okay. This is the Bible verse he decides to read.
Finish the house of the Lord and the king's house and all that came into Solomon's. Thus Solomon finished the house of the Lord and the king's house and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in his own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now my eyes shall be open and my ears attent to the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall.
What's going on, bruh?
Thus Solomon finished the house of the Lord and the king's house.
He's literally reading the verse about Solomon finished the building of the temple. Okay. Dude, I have the funniest bookmarks ever. Okay. So let's just do this when Trump is asked about the ballroom. I'll just watch him talk about it some, right? Because, you know. So this is directly after the shooting.
We're planning at the White House. It's actually
just an assassination attempt. This is what he says right afterwards.
We have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today we need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before. You have to have.
Okay. So again, there was a lawsuit, and that's how it came out that they had put in that all the funders remain anonymous. It has since been released, and we're about to cover who the funders are, and you're going to start to put together what's really going on here. It's insane. Okay. So the judge rules, no, you can't do that. You can't just build whatever you want to build without approval, right? And here's what the judge says. There are strict rules limiting what can be included in a reconciliation bill once the budget resolution is adopted, as well as Senate requirements that proposals have a primarily budgetary impact. So if I go here, only one Democrat so far has come out in favor of passing legislation that would continue construction of the stalled project after the Saturday night security breach. Okay. So you got all these, now it's front and center. Everyone's talking about it, right? You got all the congressmen pushing it through. So, long story short, the judge gives a ruling And I was trying to find the actual ruling, and I think we could go through that. I did find it a second ago. I haven't read through it yet. We could read it. But the judge says, you can't do that unless there's a legitimate security concern. So they halted the construction of the ballroom, and they said, well, you can continue down underneath, right? And so that's when we get into Trump talking about it recently. So they came out and admitted, only after the lawsuit, right, that they're building basically a military like headquarters underneath the ballroom. And I'm like, okay, well that makes more sense, like tactically in terms of security. You can make an argument for that, so you can do that, but you can't keep just building. You can't just keep building this beautiful like palace you want to build just because.
Military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. That's part of it. The ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military, including from drones and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high grade bullet.
Okay, so Trump comes out and just tells you that they're building like a military complex underneath. So, I mean,
we're going to introduce legislation that would authorize $400 million to be spent to secure to build the presidential ballroom. Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex.
Okay, now this is going to get pretty crazy. So, who are the funders? They're originally anonymous, right?
Not just covering this military complex underneath it, like you said. I think the shed is covering the money trail that's leading to the military complex underneath it. I mean, the funding architecture, the donor list, the no-bid contracts, the conflict reviews that look in the wrong direction, all of it is what makes the financial picture invisible. The bunker is what makes it valuable. And when Judge Leon issued his March 31st order about halting the above-ground construction, he did something very specific. He explicitly allowed underground construction to continue. He said that the bunker work could keep going regardless of what happened to the ballroom lawsuit. Okay, he was very explicit about that. Because the administration had basically argued that the underground work was security infrastructure and was essential to presidential safety, and the judge had accepted that justification.
I'm going to let this play for a little bit because she breaks down a lot of what's important to know before we start to see this is not a coincidence. It's not. So I'm going to go grab a drink real fast. This is super important. Just a few minutes long.
And that the underground was carved out for the injunction. Okay, fine, whatever. But what that means is that the military complex underneath was never in legal jeopardy. The bunker was going to get built no matter what the courts decided. Which means when the DOJ used a shooting on Sunday morning to demand that the lawsuit be dropped on Monday, they weren't protecting the military complex. They were protecting the damn shed. And the entire weight of the Department of Justice was deployed on a Sunday morning on 12 hours notice with a pre-written argument unlocked by a security incident to protect the building that the president himself describes as the cover for the actual project. It was exempted from review because it was classified as a security infrastructure incident to the ballroom. And that was the legal language they used, incident to. So that means that the bunker exists legally because it is treated as part of the ballroom, even though the ballroom is also being treated as separate from it for purposes of donor money classification. So then that means if the ballroom approval falls, the legal cover for everything underneath it is suddenly a question. And it seems like the administration cannot afford that question. So they need to make sure that it is never actually legally asked. And that was what was in the folder on Sunday morning. Not a defense of the presidential security, a demolition charge aimed at the only legal proceeding that could ever ask out loud what is actually being built and how it is being paid for. And it makes you wonder, when you look at the list of the 37 official donors that were named back in October, Palantir, Booz Allen Hamilton, Lockheed Martin, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Micron, Coinbase, Blackstone, Caterpillar, Union Pacific, on and on. Notice what's not on the list. There's no luxury brands, no Steinway pianos, no Hermes, not a single event venue operator, no catering empires, nobody who actually throws parties for the US's #1 party venue. I mean, these are all companies that build classified federal data infrastructure, unified AI platforms, military logistics. I mean, hardened continuous operations power and cooling, physical security architecture. I mean, master databases connecting federal agencies all to one another with cleared cloud computing. And I guess the only company that was publicly willing to say how much they donated to the ballroom was a dialysis company who had given $2.5 million. And they're on a list, what, with Palantir and Lockheed Martin? I mean, the only company.
So you hear it's just all the private companies that have contracts with the military that are implementing the AI surveillance system. Probably coincidence. Okay. So we showed that he's going to build an ark, right? And he announces that he's going to build an arch, but it's like ARC Day Trump or whatever. He's going to build an arch in DC, and it's got the Statue of Liberty. We did cover a lot of this, right? The Statue of Liberty is just Apollo, which is also Nimrod, Gilgamesh, Osiris. And you have Apollo, and it's depicted as having like the crown with the spikes. Okay, that's probably just coincidence.
The Statue of Liberty could not be put on land according to maritime law. It had to be put in water. So they built harbor of New York and put the Statue of Liberty out there because the law said that they could not put it on land. Why? It's because the statue is called the Statue of Liberty, not the Statue of Freedom. We're not free. Liberty is what a sailor gets when you pull in the port. You ask the captain if you can have a little free time, and if he allows you to, most likely he's not, but if he allows you to have some time, then you get liberty. You don't have freedom. So there's a world of difference between being a free American and having liberty. So that's why you couldn't put the Statue of Liberty on our land.
It's not the Statue of Freedom. It's a Statue of Liberty, which is only something that...
Someone's saying, I see much different facts, but you won't research them. I did research them. This is what, you know, if you're talking to me, man, that's why this is my position. He picked the 66th floor of his Trump Tower to have his penthouse, and he has Apollo leading the chariot on painting on the wall, and he has an angel stealing a woman, and he has the 2 Gnostic towers, and he has the mirrored ceiling as above so below, and he has an entire painting of Greek gods with Apollo in the center of the scene, and it goes on and on and on. Trump is what does he have to do? Does he have to? What would Trump have to do? Would he have to say something like, I don't know. Like, would he have to say, I'm not going to heaven? Would he have to say something like that? Like, to make you think, like, oh, he's not on, what would he have to say?
The war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, you know, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly.
Yeah, totally should trust that guy. Or this guy.
No. And I said, this is our first Jewish president.
It's true.
Now he's...
It's true. It's true, bro. It's true, brother. All right. I will just play. This is crazy. This is apparently a video that's floating around from the White House dinner. And watch this guy eat his food. Watch the food really close. Like, watch his bite of food here. Bruh. This dude just act like he got a bite of steak and it's like not even remotely close to the plate. Just in thin air, steak pops on his fork. You see this? They're showing us AI from the dinners now. You can't even get the puppets all in the same room for a video. Assuming this is actual footage, and I'll put that disclaimer out there. I'll try to look into it. I didn't see any evidence it was faked. All right. Or this is how you know he's a good guy too, just mocking him. Or maybe you'd have to look up at the ceiling and say, I'm the chosen one. Maybe that would do it. Maybe he'd be asked if he's ever asked for forgiveness, and he said, no, I've never done that. Like, I don't like to ask for forgiveness. I like to just not mess up in the first place. And then ask what his favorite Bible verse is, and he can't name one. He sure does like his temple, though.
This is a plan, if it's got tables so that you honor.
So let me just break down the timeline for you. He's been trying to build this for a while, okay? Let's just do this very sequentially. Trump's been trying to build it, this ballroom, right? They're ripping down the east end, and they're replacing it. And he wants to build like this really immaculate, renovated temple, right? Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and they say, obviously, really traumatic event. You know, Charlie Kirk being assassinated. How are you holding up? And this is his answer.
Thank you. My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be...
Now, what you're about to find out, that's not only just insanely weird that we're talking about Charlie Kirk being assassinated and he just breezes past it and is like, we're building a new ballroom. You're going to find out that that was an occultic ritual and that certain sacrifices have to be made while you then begin to build your temple. It's insane. This rabbit hole is insane. That's why people are probably like, why are you streaming about it again? Well, I fell down the rabbit hole, bro. It's insane. Okay, let's watch some more of this. I'm going to grab this other video, and we're going to start to look at the blueprints, and we're going to compare them. This is probably a conspiracy, right? This can't be real.
Ballrooms anywhere in the world.
As the greatest builder of this era, and you've been in on a lot of those meetings.
We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect, and the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful.
So I'm, looking at these renderings, and it kind of got me thinking. He's likely going to go down as the greatest builder of this era, and you've been in on a lot of those meetings with him. Has, to your knowledge, has the subject of rebuilding the Holy Temple in Jerusalem come up?
It has not. No, it has not. I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Melania Trump expressed her dissatisfaction with President Donald Trump's plans to demolish the east wing of the White House to create a new ballroom.
There was a report that Melania didn't love this idea. Is that true?
She loved her little tiny office, but you know what? She's very smart. In about one day, if you would ask her now, she says it's great. But just so you understand, the East Wing sounds good, right? It sounds good. But the East Wing, that building was renovated 20 times, including adding a floor to the top, which was terrible. It was out of common brick, little tiny windows. It looked like hell. It had nothing to do with the original building. And I didn't want to sacrifice a great ballroom for an okay ballroom by leaving it right smack in the middle.
Now here is the ground plan for the Temple of Solomon. Here's Solomon's Temple, the ground plan. And you'll see there Jacob and Boaz, and there's the Holy, and then there's the Most Holy. And we're told that there's a veil between the Holy and the Most Holy. Okay? And the only way you can get to God is tear through the veil.
We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But, and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why this lady is not thrilled exactly.
I mean, do you hear how he talks about this? So he always likes his gold. You know who else liked their gold? And we covered this, but he who hath wisdom. Revelation. Talking about the mark of the beast. Here is wisdom. Let him who hath understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Kings and Chronicles, it states that King Solomon received 666 talents of gold annually. The occult are obsessed with Solomon. The wisdom of Solomon was in the apocryphal text. It was removed. It says that he had domain over the demons because he had a ring that gave him domain over the demons. He was super wise. He was into the occult. He built his immaculate temple, and the occult, quote unquote, elite are obsessed with Solomon.
Anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor a foreign leader, we have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people. But I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by...
Put a pause on this. We'll go back. We were at like 3.5 minutes.
Acknowledge the
Destroy this temple, and I will raise it again in 3 days.
God of your father, and serve him with wholehearted devotion and with a willing mind. For the Lord searches every heart and understands every desire and every thought. If you seek him, he will be found by you.
By promise and officially recognize the capital of Israel and move the American embassy to Jerusalem.
But if you forsake him,
so
he will reject you forever. Consider
Trump moves the embassy to Jerusalem. He's printed on the temple coin by Israel. It's called the temple coin. Look at it. It has King Cyrus on it. They put Trump's head right beside King Cyrus. Here it is, temple coin. And King Cyrus is the non-Jewish king who gave the declaration in order to build the Jewish temple. It was, of course, later destroyed, just as Jesus, Yeshua, predicted. Now they're printing a temple coin and they're putting Trump on it as though he's going to be the next king that orders the building of the temple. Why is Trump printed on the temple coin? Why is Donald Trump printed on Israel's temple coin? Why did Israel, specifically the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, give Trump the crown of the Messiah, a pure silver crown that's only supposed to go on the head of the Messiah? They gifted it to Donald Trump. Donald Trump moves the embassy to Jerusalem, which is what they need as a prerequisite for their prophecy of eventually having the greater Israel and rebuilding the third temple and then sacrificing a heifer, which they gave the mock sacrifice. Not a mock sacrifice, just basically the run through, like the practice round, the rehearsal. And they sacrificed a red heifer back in the day. And some people are claiming, oh, that was the real one. I don't think it's the real one. They have another red heifer that's quote unquote pure. And it's a whole thing. It could never have done any work. Someone can't even lean on it. It can't have any blemishes. It has to have all red hair, etc. In 2018, then a Jewish Messiah comes out and says that he discovered that Donald Trump, in Hebrew gematria, his name equals 424, which is what the Messiah's name has to equal. Okay. Then 150 rabbis, again, give them the silver crown of the Messiah. Then you come back in 2024, they give them a menorah, and they have a little plate, and inscripted on the plate is a reference to Isaiah 9:1, right, which is a messianic prophecy, and it talks about the Prince of Peace. The Prince of Peace is the Messiah, and then it has at the bottom The Israel Heritage Foundation, with profound gratitude, presents this Covenant of Peace Award to the Prince of Peace, President Donald J. Trump. So here's the crown, here's the menorah, and here is the temple coin. So there's just a backstory of how this is kind of weird, right? Okay.
Sanctuary, the buildings, its storerooms, its upper parts, its inner rooms, and the place of atonement. He gave him the plans of all that the Spirit had put in his mind for the courts of the temple of the Lord and all the surrounding rooms, for treasuries of the temple of God, and the weight of silver for each silver lampstand and its lamps, according to the use of each lampstand. The weight of gold for each table for consecrated bread. The weight of silver for the silver tables. The weight of pure gold for the forks, sprinkling bowls, and pitchers. The weight of gold for each gold dish. The weight of silver for each silver dish. And the weight of the refined gold for the altar of incense.
Okay, here we go. Let's look at the blueprints here.
Plus plans, and they are in fact a replica of Solomon's temple. And of course, this is adding to the long list of relics and biblical stories that Trump has already channeled to position himself as a messianic figure. I'm going to also show you how Trump's tower, his covered space in the Trump Tower, is also a replica of the tabernacle, which of course is a twin of Solomon's temple. So if you know your Bible, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then at the end of the show, we're going to go into Google Earth and show you Roger Mudfossil's American dragon and how it is crowned with the giant ley line pentagram that we found 12 years ago. And you're not going to believe this.
Okay, Solomon's temple. Okay.
I took liberty to overlay Solomon's temple with the ballroom. I'm going to be
that's Solomon's temple,
flipping it back and forth so that you can see this.
That's the ballroom.
Look at this. It is an exact replica. This is unbelievable. Now we're going to go through the aspects of this. I'll flip it back a couple more times so you can see this. But wow. Now, the first thing we're going to do is to list all of the discoveries that have been made to date where Trump has inserted a biblical aspect to his presidencies. Now listen carefully, because when you hear the list, there's no other conclusion to come to other than he is trying to channel the Bible subliminally to his followers. First, there was the scapegoat, covered in Trump $100 bills at Mar-a-Lago. Then there was the Ark of the Covenant replica at Mar-a-Lago. Then there was...
So if you don't know about that, I mean, I'm going through it because you got to, I mean, at one point you got to say, you become the conspiracy theorist to claim that it's repeated coincidence, right? There it is. Supposed replica of the Ark of the Covenant in gold at Mar-a-Lago.
The first one that comes up is this one in Dvarim and Deuteronomy about the punishment for the slandering husband. And the last two are in...
This is from January 13th, 2025. Trump, the builder of the third temple of Solomon, Armageddon seat of the Antichrist, and the 2025 destiny of the Ark of the Covenant at the Temple Mount, Trump equals Biff, wrote back to the future creator, the patriarch of Freemasonry, master mason architect of the first temple, who was met with 3 assassination attempts. The replica has already visited Mar-a-Lago, the Palm Beach, Florida home of former President Donald Trump. The Ark represents the fact that the covenant is still valid.
Nehemiah and Divrei Yamim, and I'll leave those.
This is pretty simple. You can think that these Jewish religious people are religious zealots. Everything they believe is fake and it's a fairy tale. And I would actually agree with you that they are completely wrong and that their religious interpretations are wrong. It can all be fake. These people are religious zealots. They're extremely powerful. They have disproportionate representation, to say the least. Okay. They practice nepotism. They indoctrinate their children at a young age with the victim mentality. They believe that they're literally chosen. There's like an embedded ideology of ethnic supremacy within that group. Obviously, not all people in that group. And I shouldn't have to say that. We should be able to operate above like 100 IQ. And they are obsessed with this idea of their Messiah coming and them reigning over the world. That's the situation with the Jews, right? And they think that the Jews will basically run the world because their Messiah will come over as a strong political leader that's very charismatic, and the whole entire world will follow him, and that they will be at the top of that hierarchy, right? That's the situation. And they believe they have to rebuild a temple, which is at the location of the Al-Aqsa, what they say. That's what they say. And all of a sudden, what do you know? For the first time in like 5 decades, they shut that mosque down during Ramadan. Even towards the end of it, you have missiles landing within a couple hundred meters. They would just say, look, Iran shot a missile and it hit the mosque. And then all of a sudden, all the Shiite and the Sunni Muslims, I mean, they all think that Muhammad ascended to heaven there. They're going to have a bit of beef. You're talking about World War III proportional, because you can't kill ideology. This is an ideological disagreement. So the religious zealotry in the Middle East is clearly ramping up towards some type of conflict.
Aside from
they're obsessed with their Messiah. We want Moshiach now. We want Moshiach now. And then there's a subsect of Judaism that thinks that you have to make, like the world has to get crazy and it has to be super evil. And they kind of try to expedite evil so that the Messiah comes, right? And similar, there's a subsect of Islam that's the same way. And so the point is that they just need certain events to take place. There's this interpretation that the West is Esau, and so it has to fall. And so the United States has to collapse in order for the Jewish Messiah to come.
Now, because they're more like in genealogical lists. But the next...
I said to say, if you want to understand why there are so consistently, you see like a Jewish person at the top of so many of these things that are expediting the collapse of the West, like massive migration and demographic shift, the expedited increase in degeneracy, the complete shattering of 2-parent households, right? Everything that, like the push of feminism, the push of all these doctrines, the isms, all the isms, the racism is all created by a Jewish guy. So a Jew made up racism, a Jew made up feminism, and it goes on and on and on. Well, now you would know why. They think that they're Esau, that you're Esau, and Esau has to collapse. And then there's the interpretation of the Roman Catholic Church is Esau, and that the Roman Catholic Church gives you Christianity that then stems off into Protestantism. And so all versions of Christianity in the modern times stem from the Catholic Church, which is Esau. They went and built the Western world, and therefore we're Esau. Now, ironically, if you don't know this, side note, America was actually very anti-Catholic in its inception. Like you weren't even allowed to have a Catholic Church in many places, even into like the late 1800s, like Georgia, you couldn't even have a Catholic Church until like 1890 or something like that. And so it was really just Protestant. And a lot of the founding fathers said, you better watch out for these Jesuits. But then you get like the crypto Jews, right? And you have people like playing disguise as Jesuits. You also have Jesuit literature talking about playing disguise as other groups such as Judaism are Jews. And you have like these groups historically supposedly fighting. The founding fathers of America were pretty opposed to all of those groups. And, I don't know if you guys know, but, Jews were banned from Tennessee for a bit. Like, so America has a history. If you go through like the historical opposition, the number one group of people that were banning Jews were Christians, just straight up, and so they, even for that reason alone, they got beef with the Christians.
Few are actually, the middle few are very interesting. The second one is in Shmuel, and I bring it up because we actually or something and was killed. And then King David got scared, and they just parked the Ark of the Covenant nearby in the home of Oved Edom Hagiti. Literally means the servant of Edom, or an Edomite servant. That's what his name means.
Well, that's what I meant, by the way.
So we talked about that last time in relation to perhaps there's a connection to
Edom.
maybe Donald Trump
Esau.
as an Oved Edom about the Ark of the Covenant.
That was my bad. I meant every time I said Esau, I meant to say Edom.
Here's the list.
Edomites.
There's no other conclusion to come to other than he is trying to channel the Bible subliminally to his followers. First, there was the scapegoat, where Trump has inserted a biblical aspect to his presidency. Now listen carefully, because when you hear the list,
Yeah, Trump, the Ark of the Covenant is what got us down that rabbit hole.
There's no other conclusion to come to other than he is
Shout out
trying
to all
channel.
the legends on Kick. Please consider subbing if you want to support the channel. Sub by the and you know your boy had to drop some money on all these things for the stream that messed up. So if you want to help our brother out,
The Bible
I won't
subliminally.
be mad at you. A good way to support is sub. We're gonna have sub only content, sub only chats on Kick. So go over there and sub up. And shout out to everyone that gifts, and I'll shout everyone out that subs.
To his followers. First, there was the scapegoat, covered in Trump $100 bills at Mar-a-Lago. Then there was the Ark of the Covenant replica at Mar-a-Lago. Then there was the short Trump golden calf. Then there was the Charlie Kirk only begotten son sacrifice, where a giant menorah appeared in the aerial view above the sacrificial site. Now, why do I say only begotten son? Well, because Charlie Kirk's father built Trump Tower, which is the covered space that has the tabernacles in it. So it became a pseudo only begotten son, but it was the son of Charlie Kirk's father, not Trump's son. But Charlie was like a son to Trump. He was an advisor in the White House, and he helped Trump get the youth vote. He helped him get elected.
Did you guys hear that, bro? This is wild. I'll slow it down.
Trying to channel the Bible subliminally to his followers. First, there was the scapegoat, covered in Trump $100 bills at Mar-a-Lago. Then there was the Ark of the Covenant replica at Mar-a-Lago. Then there was the short Trump golden calf. Then there was the Charlie Kirk only begotten son sacrifice, where a giant menorah appeared in the aerial view above the sacrificial site. Now, why do I say only begotten son? Well, because Charlie Kirk's father built Trump Tower, which is the covered space that has the tabernacles in it.
Charlie Kirk's father built Trump Tower.
Charlie became a pseudo only begotten son, but it was the son of Charlie Kirk's father, not Trump's son. But Charlie was like a son to Trump. He was an advisor in the White House, and he helped Trump get the youth vote. He helped him get elected, and then Trump sacrificed him. Then Trump did the priestly slave.
That would maybe explain how casual he was when asked about it, and immediately he said, I'm holding up pretty good. Look, they're building the ballroom.
Ritual out of the Old Testament. There are two instances in the Old
There's
Testament.
obviously the take that like that was all slap, it wasn't real. I think that Charlie Kirk was killed. I think he was kind of in the know and he was in the group, and I think he had, you know, I'm not gonna say he just completely sold out or anything, but he kind of knew he had to like go along with certain people. He was in the group. His dad built Trump Tower. So I personally think, after looking at everything, that he did in fact get killed. I think the cover story is fake, which obviously the take that the whole entire thing was fake. I don't think so. I know someone that knows someone that was there, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as I can tell, that was just a real thing. Like he just straight up got shot, you know, and how it was, if it was a little pin, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm just saying, like, I think it was a cultic sacrifice. Yeah, there are mutual, like, this is how I've always described the way that the elite work, right? You can see all these different motives and benefits that they get to certain lives, but they're like a thief, okay? And they break into a mansion in a subdivision, and they need to get what's in the safe. But while they're going, they grab the gold Rolex, they grab the cash on the counter, they grab the wallet, whatever, right? Like they're just going to steal what's in the safe. They're just trying to perform their occultic sacrificial ritual, because this is so much deeper than people realize. This is not just like, oh, I want some political power, right? And so any commentator that you're listening to that's so into the normie material realm of this situation, and like there are really intelligent people that do that, like have amazing takes, or even more knowledgeable than I am in many ways geopolitically, that isn't the point. It's not that everything they're saying is wrong, okay? Like the world is a stage, but the players within it oftentimes are really just playing within the movie, right? Unknowingly, almost like the movie with Jim Carrey, where he doesn't realize like his whole life is a movie. I forgot the name of it. So anyway, they are looking at this like, okay, Solomon super wise. What does Solomon ask for? One thing, he asked for wisdom, right? Solomon had all these women, he had this temple, and it says that Solomon had a ring that gave him domain over demons. He was obsessed with the occult. He was obsessed with magic and occult sexual magic rituals. And like a lot of people have this idea of Solomon that he was like this righteous person. Dude, Solomon was wildin', bro. Okay. Solomon was in a very, very bad place for a while, and he was being tormented by these demons, and he was just obsessed with trying to control them. He had a ring that gave him domain over them. And then he was very vain. He was obsessed with vanity and material things. And he built this huge temple. And what happened was he was given 666 talents of gold a year. He who hath wisdom determined the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and that number is 666. There's only one man in all of the scriptures that number is associated with. That's Solomon. 666 talents of gold. Everything was about gold. There was gold everywhere. There were diamonds and precious gemstones, but the main commodity obviously was gold, right? And he was just obsessed with gold. That was his thing. And then you have the Seal of Solomon. And if you look at the Seal of Solomon, it's all in all the occultic literature. They are obsessed with Solomon, bro. Like if you look into any Masonic, quote unquote, Illuminati, which I mean, the Illuminati was a real thing, right? The Illuminati was the name that pre-existed Freemasonry. And by the way, it looks like what Freemasonry means is that they literally came upon different types of buildings and stuff that were already here for the civilization that was like in the United States, for example, that they didn't tell you about. And then they took over the masonry, the stonework, the architecture that was here for free. They just got a bunch of free masonry, right? And so it's just the haha in plain sight. We know about the past. We know what was really going on, who was really here, how significant this place is. We called it the New World, but it was also pivotal in the Old World, and they just don't let you know that. So not to get too all over the place, but you got to understand when you step back and you realize this is a spiritual war, that there are actual spiritual entities at play, that there were the Watchers, the Nephilim, and this is not just like this physical material world. And then this is when you get into the pedophilia, the child sacrifices, all the crazy rituals, right? It's because they are not stupid enough to think that it's just this material world. They literally think that, like, say the Goyim are so stupid, or just the normie masses are so stupid that they actually even thought for a second atheism was viable, or like they consider an atheist so low IQ, right, that it's just like laughable. It's not even worth your time. That's why obviously like a requirement to be in Freemasonry is to acknowledge a God, right? And then what you find out when you get to like 32nd, 33rd degree is that God is Satan, right? Baal, or however they reference it. People will say Lucifer, like the Luciferian doctrine. You find out it is not. Their belief system, very simply, and then we'll move on, is that everything is inverted, and that's why they invert everything. Okay. They say that the true creator, he's actually the bad guy. He gives you all these rules. He puts you here with like this veil pulled over your head. And that's what the Matrix is actually about. So if you go back and watch the Matrix, watch it in reverse, where the bad guys are actually the good guys and vice versa. Right. And you'll find out what they really believe. And so like the agents, well, those are archangels. And so the Neo, that's the Antichrist. We've been looking for you. Where have you been born? We've been waiting for you. You're the only one that can beat them. You're the only one that can beat the agent, the angels, right? And so like the Watchers who rebel, they can't go back up. They've been waiting for this man that will end up being part man, part God, that will have special powers, will be able to actually win and fight the archangels. And if you go to that last scene, right, you have Mr. Smith sitting there talking about, like, look how beautiful this place is, and you guys just ruined it. You can't even appreciate it. And he goes and like wipes the sweat off and smells it, and he's like talking about the stench of sin, right? If you go watch it again, even like the sequels, it's insane. You have like Nebuchadnezzar in the second movie, and it goes on and on. None of it is a coincidence. That is a very sophisticated, meticulously written movie. Like, oh, they stole this from a black girl that was a Christian. Well, that's what they told you. And then the two main people in charge of it, what do? They end up transitioning. So they're like trannies. That's because they believe in conquering the duality of gender, the duality of nature. So the duality of all things, the good, the bad, the dark, the light, the right hand, the left hand, the duality of gender. You have to be able to conquer. That's why Baphomet is like a tranny, right? Okay, that's why the Statue of Liberty, which is Apollo, you have it like presented as a girl, but it's clearly a dude, very obviously a dude, right? It's about conquering the duality of gender, meaning you transcend the material world and you transcend genitalia or any type of like gender once you transcend a material body. So it's about transcending apotheosis, right? The enlightened state of godhood. It's transcending into godhood, apotheosis. And then you have Mount Rushmore, like Washington, they claim that he accomplished apotheosis. Okay. That's like a whole stream right there to really break down the occult and the esoteric belief systems that help govern this place from this small, like self-identified as chosen and elite group of people. And then you would get into the 13 bloodlines, you know, many of the powers you don't even know about. You get into all the presidents obviously being related. They just came out and said, oh, they found out that Trump was actually related to the king. It's like, yeah, every president has been, of course, but what they were previously claiming was Trump was the one exception. And you have this girl that came out and she did her like second grade project. She found out that all presidents were related somehow, including Obama, and they all go back to the king. They all go back to English royalty, a specific king. And that's because they're not going to give massive amounts of power outside of their bloodline. That's why they're also incestuous, because they don't want to dilute their blood with the other people that aren't in their bloodline. And they were like, but Trump's like the one exception. It just came out when King Charles visited. Turns out that Trump's actually like a distant cousin and he's related to the king, right? Of course, because they're all in the same bloodlines. They're all in the know. They're in a club that you're not in. They understand that the world is much deeper than just the material, and they practice occultic rituals so that they can gain control over the masses. And one of the main things that they do is they tell you the truth straight to your face. They trick you, but they make you trick yourself. They tell you what they're doing, right? In plain sight, hidden in plain sight, so that you have to choose to do it. So you're tricking yourself because they know that there is there's like a natural law, right? Where if you force someone to do something against their will and they don't know, then you now have the consequences of that. But when they choose to do it, you remove the consequences. That you might wonder why, if they've already have all this power, all this surveillance and all this, why are they constantly trying to brainwash us and psychologically or hit us with all these psychological operations and convince us to do things and use the Hegelian dialectic, colloquially speaking? Well, the reason is because they know that consent, everything is consent driven. They need your consent. So yeah, politics are fake in the sense that presidents are not elected, they're selected, and the world is a script. They need the consensus of people to be that they did pick Donald Trump, though. So in my opinion, they do count the votes. They do want to know, right? They are writing the script, but they need the people to actually choose the path that they've designed for them. Okay, so that shows you all of that was to explain, that shows you like a very deep philosophical, esoteric, occultic understanding of this place, a metaphysical understanding of this place by the people that are pulling a lot of these schemes off, okay? So now zoom back out. This temple, it's not just like they're just building a building, okay? It's a temple. They understand it goes back thousands of years. It is a huge deal to rebuild Solomon's temple. It's the thing that's been talked about for centuries, right? This is a massive thing. If this is actually being identified as Solomon, the rebuilding of Solomon's temple by them, if that's actually the case, it's a huge deal. Of course, they're carrying out rituals and sacrifices leading up to it, right? Because there's a specific way it has to be done. I know I hit you guys with a lot right there, but that's what we do here.
Testament, where the right ear is either cut or a goat is sacrificed and the blood of the goat is put on the right ear and the right thumb and the right toe. All of those aspects Trump manifested in various ways over the years. And of course, the king and the crowns of Revelation 6:2, the white horse, Trump's white horse brothel, white horse spa, carrying the toxin, which was the coronavirus, and a crown, which is the corona, and going about conquering, which is what he's doing now throughout the world. Unprecedented conquering from any.
Totally true. Corona is the crown. When the world shut down, who was in charge? Donald Trump. Who has reigned over the world with more power than anyone else? Donald Trump. Who did Operation Warp Speed? Donald Trump. Who just straight up said you don't have any more freedom? Donald Trump. who just went to war and just said, well, I don't need Congress? Donald Trump. Who is like openly saying he's going to be a dictator, talking about a third term, predictably programmed as the last president, on and on and on, right? They did such a good job of having like the psycho, like SJWs and liberals and leftists say all that nonsense. And because they're so retarded, it just totally throws an asterisk and undermines the people that are now saying, okay, this dude's out of control. And they're like, oh, we've tried to tell you. Yeah. And every argument that you were like told to repeat and regurgitate was stupid and easily debunked. Right. And that's why they then tricked the people over there to the right on Trump's side, because like all the arguments from the left were stupid. Like all the critique of Trump was fabricated and inaccurate, etc. Right. But the proper critiques of him, I'm saying a lot of them right now. Right. That he got bailed out by Wilbur Ross, the head financier at Rothschild's Inc. in like 1987 with a sweetheart deal for hundreds of millions of dollars that he didn't have to pay back. He was given the Tree of Life Award. He's given all kinds of Zionist and Jewish awards all throughout his life, that he claims to be the most pro-Israel president ever. Right, that they named the Golan Heights Trump Heights, that he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, that they printed him on the temple coin, that they gave him the silver crown of the Messiah, that they gave him the menorah and called him the Prince of Peace in Isaiah, that they said that he has 424, the Hebrew gematria of their Messiah, and on and on and on. That underneath him, even in his first term, he's the one that put out the defining of anti-Semitism on whitehouse.gov. Right, from the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition, where it says claiming that Israel is similar to Nazi Germany is anti-Semitic, claiming that the Jews killed Jesus Christ is anti-Semitic, claiming that the Jews have disproportionate control over media and banks, etc. That's anti-Semitic. So saying true things about Jews is anti-Semitic. Donald Trump did that, bro. Right. Making it illegal to boycott Trump if you work for the government or you're a contractor through the government. Donald Trump did that. Donald Trump came out and said that anti-Semitic hate crimes should be punishable by death. Donald Trump's the one that's in charge when all these states are passing this infringement on free speech, right? Donald Trump is the most, like, Joe Biden was not even a fraction of the threat that Donald Trump is. No one took that dude serious. He couldn't convince people to do things that otherwise they wouldn't do. If anything, he could be saying something that was actually good and people would just not do it just because it was Biden. But Trump is different. Trump is different. He gets a pass. He gets a pass. He's the rich billionaire that's going to help us with our economy from outside of the system, and that he funded himself, and he doesn't. And then look what he's doing. He just brazenly 6x'd his net worth since he's been in office. His sons are like 800% wealthier. He dropped a meme coin as the president of the United States, just overtly making money in office as the president, who was already a billionaire. That's like unprecedented, So you got to kind of see the writing on the wall. I would be amazed if Donald Trump leaves office at this point.
Another president, pretty much in the history of presidents of America, that is Trump. And we all know it. Now, how successful is he at conquering? Well, Venezuela, he's going for Cuba, Iran. I mean, this is not going to stop. Canada, he's talking about Greenland, going about conquering. Now, I might have missed a couple, so please go into the chat and tell me which ones I had missed, if I had missed any. But I think we covered just about all of them. And now, these are the Ballroom plans, which are almost an exact replica of Solomon's temple. Now, this is crazy.
You should bring on, who does this say? Dr. William, I don't know who that is. But by the way, go sign up on the site. You can create a free account or you can become a member. But just in general, people go sign up on the site. And there's an area if someone wants to ask me to come on as an appearance or has a suggested guest, you can submit a contact form. And there will be like a little place you can drop in suggestions of people that I either debate with said topics I have on as a guest, or channels that I should connect with and jump on.
It's hard to tell where the stage might be. And I'm thinking this part back here, let's turn this off so you could see this. I'm thinking this part back here, maybe the lobby where everyone comes in and they enter through the doors. and then into the ballroom. And the stage.
So pretty crazy. We might can go back to this in a little bit because it's kind of long, but let's go back to this other video for a sec. I mean, it's just all so crazy, bro. Yeah, I mean, it's not a coincidence. There's just no way that it is.
Great ballrooms anyway.
And we're told that there's a veil between the whole
Wing. That building was renovated 20 times, including adding a floor to the top, which was terrible. It was out of common brick, little tiny windows. It looked like hell. It had nothing to do with the original building. And I didn't want to sacrifice a great ballroom for an okay ballroom by leaving it right smack in the middle.
Now here is the ground plan for the Temple of Solomon. Here's Solomon's Temple, the ground plan. And you'll see there Jacob and Boaz. And there's the holy, and then there's the most holy. And we're told that there's a veil between the holy and the most holy. Okay? And the only way you can get to God is tear through the veil.
We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains, but and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it's because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly.
It looks very holy here until you do it this way. Now you can understand what it's really representing. It's the male inside the female. Okay. So that's the most holy. So when you hear all the rabbis and the Jewish people talk about, oh, the most holy of Israel, and all the Lord is in his temple in the most holy. And what? Yeah, what do you look out.
The Egyptian idea, the Egyptian convention of twin phallic pillars at the temple gate was copied by the temple at Jerusalem, where the right pillar was named Jachin, God makes him firm, and the left pillar was named Boaz, eagerness and strength. What are we talking about? Jachin makes him firm, and eagerness and strength. That's in the Bible, 1 Kings. Temple of Solomon represented sex, period. And there are the temple. There it is again. You'll see the temple and the two phallic pillars and Solomon's temple. There they are, Jachin and Boaz, two male phallic pillars in front of the temple. Incidentally, that's where the word temple comes from. The house of God, or the house of El, a temp El, the house of El, the house of the god of Saturn, the temp El. And on all the temp Els, you always.
So I saw you asked to be unblocked on YouTube. I just went through it. The thing that sucks, if someone gets blocked, you have to go to your community and the users and look at blocked users, and you have to manually scroll through all the names and just find it and then click the X on it. You can't search, and there's 500 something people. So I'll try to remember to look you up real fast later. But did you heard the thing about the pillars, right? Trump Tower. He has the Gnostic towers right there. See that? He has two towers. I mean, two pillars. And we covered that, right? He has, like, literally, if you look here, he has, it's just also crazy. He has what people refer to as Cupid here. There are the towers, pillars. You have the mirror up here, so it's as above, so below. You have the angels stealing a woman. Of course, the Watchers, they took the women, the daughters of men. You have Apollo led in his chariot by Aurora, which is my daughter's name. Here you go. Apollo up on the ceiling. Bro. Little babies in gold.
Be one of the great ballrooms
The
building, including
is Solomon's Temple, the ground plan. And you'll see there Jacob and Boaz, and there's the holy, and then there's the most holy. And we're told that there's a veil between the holy and the most holy. Okay? And the only way you can get to God is tear through the veil.
We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that?
Also, it helps me out if you guys are interactive in the Kick chat. I have to have a certain interaction in the Kick chat. So if you guys want to help a brother out, maybe what I'll do is like the chats that I'll prioritize are the Kick chats. So like here, cherubim. Yep, that's a type of angel, and angels are not as you would normally see depicted. But yeah, you have the cherubim, and they're typically depicted as having like lion heads and multiple wings, and they're just like crazy looking. They would definitely scare you. Which you notice, like every time an angel interacts with someone in the scriptures, like do not be afraid. Final search page. No. On YouTube, when you have a channel, you go to YouTube Studio, then you go to settings, you go to community, you go to user moderation. You literally have to manually scroll through the names. Literally, there's no option. It's insane. Of the banned users. It's like, and then you have to click the X. And it's not even in like alphabetic order. It's in the order that they got banned. It's the most insane thing. If they just assume, I guess, if you ban someone that you just leave them, I guess. I don't even know. It's been like that for years.
Nice drape. When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly.
That's just some story, right? Because we're going to cover in a second, but there's like a femininity, masculinity to it when it comes to the Solomon's temple.
It looks very holy here until you do it this way.
As in like a section of the temple.
Now you can understand what it's really representing. It's the male inside the female. Okay.
To where Maxwell hated Christianity, he reinterpreted Yahuwah's ways to make them look perverse. Yeah. I don't have to vouch it. He's being invoked to explain some of the cultic beliefs, which he's accurate about. So,
That's the most holy. So when you hear all the rabbis and the Jewish people talk about, the most holy of Israel, and the Lord is in his temple in the most holy. And what? Yeah, what do you do? Look out.
The Egyptian idea, the Egyptian convention of twin phallic pillars at the temple gate was copied by the temple at Jerusalem, where the right pillar was named Jachin, God makes him firm, and the left pillar was named Boaz, eagerness and strength. What are we talking about? Jachin makes him firm, and eagerness and strength? That's in the Bible, 1 Kings. Temple of Solomon represented sex, period. And there are the temple, there it is again. You'll see the temple and the two phallic pillars.
By the way, we're about to switch over to Kick only in about 5 minutes. We're going to finish the stream on Kick, so you should go set up on Kick real fast, kick.com/Witsit. You'll see it right there. We're going to finish the stream on Kick. Shout out to all the legends that are over there. Good night, bro. We are going to finish on Kick, so I'll go ahead and read some of the super chats. So much orange, fam, much love. I think that this is like maroon, but I get it. Maybe it looks kind of orange. New to this channel, but I'm here for the long term. Hooked. That's what's up. Shout out to you, man. You found us. Thanks for the super chats. Much love. Witsit kicks it. You feel me? Because Kick's not going to censor me, and I have to get a certain amount of hours, certain amount of views, stuff like that, to be able to, and a certain amount of subs, so I can get verified there. That way, that my videos will stay there longer, etc.
And Solomon's temple.
At 1:30, we're switching over to Kick.
There they are. Jachin.
If a moderator can drop the link in the YouTube chat, I'll pin it. And then also I encourage interaction. I'm reading the Kick chat actively. And shout out to anybody that gives subs.
Two male phallic pillars in front of.
I need to do something for whoever. Okay, this is what we'll do, and we'll announce it right now. whoever is the monthly leader. Okay, so we'll do the weekly top gifter and subs, which resets in 3 days. You may not be interested, right? But I'll be down to jump on like a private call with you. I'll try to think of something else to do. And then the monthly top leader, same thing. You get a private call and we'll just hang out. And I'll try to think of more creative things for the top gifters on sub or on Kick. You know, you got to get something for your support.
The temple. Incidentally, that's where the word temple comes from. The house of God, or the house of El, a temp El. The house of El, the house of the god of Saturn, the temp El. And on all the temp Els, you always had the twin phallic pillars. Anyway, there's in downtown, on Wilshire in downtown Los Angeles, the synagogue has the 2 phallic pillars.
Hi from Sweden. Hi, man. You should go over to Kick.
You see it all over the world.
Because we got quite a bit to cover. This rabbit hole goes deep, dude. It's just insane.
Over the earth, you see twin phallic pillars going all the way back to the Phoenician Canaanites. This is over in Pasadena at the British Israel Masonic Ambassador College. What is that? What is the symbolism there? Anybody? Am I the only one seeing what the symbolism there?
This is a view of the columns as they are going to be made. They're going to be hand carved and they're beautiful. Top of the line, they'll be Corinthian, which is considered the best, most beautiful by far. Now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building.
And that's where they found out that they had all the funders anonymous. And that's why he's announcing the military things that came out in that lawsuit. And again, the judge said, you can't do this. The judge said, you can't do this, right? You're not allowed to do this. You can't just start building it and getting private funding and changing the White House. You're not allowed to do that unless there's like legitimate security reasons or concerns. You can keep building the military thing underneath because of the tactical security component of that, but you can't just renovate and tear down and rebuild the part of what effectively is a part of the White House, right? Adjacent to the White House. So they say, nope, you can't keep building it because you can only do that for security reasons. And then they go have the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There's an assassination attempt where everyone comes out and says there was no security. It's all super suspect and sketchy. None of it adds up. And then immediately every like major conservative influencer on X starts posting, this is why they need a ballroom. Good thing they're trying to get a ballroom. This is why they need a ballroom. This is why the Democrats want to stop the ballroom. Immediately, Trump comes out, gives a speech after a supposed assassination attempt. First thing he's talking about is this is why we need the ballroom. We need security for the ballroom. And now it's all center stage. Everyone's talking about it. People in Congress are pushing for it. Bro, the judge says you can't have it because it needs to be about security. And then they have an assassination attempt showing that location isn't secure. So if you really want motive, it's right there.
Trump is building a replica of Solomon's temple disguised as a ballroom in Washington, D.C. Let's take a look. To the right of me is what they say Donald Trump's ballroom is going to look like. Now, to compare it to somebody who's already made an exact replica just on a massive scale, we look over here at a church in Brazil and a billionaire pastor.
Really? Okay, here you go. I'm trying to find a different one. This one. Although I'm giving you guys more of the gravy, really, because so the judge says that we'll actually break it more down and Kick. We'll go beginning to end, real sequential, so you can see how it all laid out. It's undeniable when you see everything that's happened leading up to it. Just ridiculous. And then we're going to cover the UFO disclosure. A bunch of stuff came out about that today. And they're basically just saying that there have been alien bodies recovered. Bro, I don't think people realize what we're about to experience.
And Trump's ballroom that they're building
at the White House. For some reason, it's a very uncanny resemblance. I mean, even from like measurements and things like that. Like, I think that is really weird. And if you don't know the lore behind the third temple, follow me. I'm reading from the Bible app Haven. It says that the third temple is a significant topic in Bible prophecy. A lot of people believe that the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem is a crucial event that will precede the return of Jesus Christ. Now we got some scripture. 2 Thessalonians, it talks about the Antichrist. This is the person who will exalt himself above God, and he will oppose God. He will sit in the temple of God and show himself to be God. So understand that there has to be a temple in order for the Antichrist to go into the temple and proclaim himself to be God. This is talking about the son of perdition, the man of sin. So now I'm starting to wonder, is this Ballroom that strikingly resembles, because we think it's going to be built in Jerusalem, but what if a wool is being pulled over our heads? And we know how like even Trump said we have technology that can like change times and like things like that. And so that's one thing I'm looking at. But also it says that Satan will look to change the times in the events and things like that. So have we been bamboozled with history, right? Is history a big lie? Is certain lands really what they are supposed to be? Are biblical lands?
It is a rabbit hole. Like, I mean, the salt water, the seawater, you have the Mississippi, supposedly the Nile, you have to have, it's just crazy. Like if you look into Florida is the Garden of Eden, it's crazy. I think I've had Old World Florida on a couple times, and maybe we'll have them on now that it seems to be super relevant. It's a theory, right? It's a theory that they got everyone looking over there in the Middle East, and really they're just doing everything right here in front of everybody. And that would be pretty crazy.
Different than the lands that we've named.
I researched that pretty heavily. There were some interesting things, some discrepancies I ended up falling on. It does look like the Middle East is where it really was.
And so is he building this ballroom that is actually going to be a Baal, like the Canaanite god Baal, who they used to sacrifice their kids to? This is getting a little crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
So, all right, we're about to move over to Kick now. We're going to cover the UFOs. You got Laura Trump talking about how Trump has some big surprise when it comes to the UFOs. You got them saying all kinds of crazy things about UFO disclosure, saying that they've been briefed on things that are going to blow the American public's mind. It's about to come out, and that the Congress people can't speak about it till it's officially declassified. And do you actually answer serious questions from your subscribers in the Kick Chat? I think I've answered your questions in Kick Chat more than anyone else, So, no, I do live streams and I make content. I don't just stare at the chat the whole time. Sometimes I'm talking, I'm not like a puppet that just comes and sits here and just reads the chat, man. My God, bro, you complain a lot, brother. All right, so we're going to move over to kick.com/Witsit. Let me double check. No super chats. Nope. Okay, so shout out to you guys on YouTube. What I will leave you guys with is all of this is super sketchy. Trump's talking about building an arch with the Statue of Liberty on top of it. If you look at the AI rendition, it's in gold and it's Apollo. And then, it has the same crowns and everything. And then they say that that's a girl. It's clearly just a dude. Statue of Liberty is a dude. That's actually Apollo. The Statue of Liberty is Apollo, right? And then you look into Trump again, 666 Fifth Avenue was purchased by his son-in-law. And then you look at 66th floor of Trump Tower, and that's where he has everything to do with Apollo and the two Gnostic towers and the mirrored ceiling, and it's all covered in gold. He's obsessed with building immaculate, high-end real estate. And now what are they doing? They're building a new temple, basically, right? And they're calling it the Ballroom, which I guess is what it is historically referenced as, the Ballroom, Baal. People say I think it's pronounced Bell. I think it's pronounced Baal, right? Can you stop spamming can you ask a question and ask the question maybe? 666 can be lots of people, honestly. Yo, check this out in case you guys don't know real fast. The Washington Monument is it has 666 inches. So you have, again, and this needs to be really driven home here. You have the United States military go invade the Middle East a few weeks after they claim they found the tomb of Gilgamesh. You have in the WikiLeaks email from Hillary Clinton, one of the subjects asking about what did they do with the remains of Gilgamesh? Where did they move them? We go there, we set up shop, and then we invade, like, Baghdad is ancient Babylon. We invade the museums with all kinds of Babylonian relics, only return like 1/3 of them. And then all of a sudden you have people in the government starting to talk about Gilgamesh, Nimrod, same person. So you have the Epic of Gilgamesh, you have Nimrod, you have Apollo, Osiris. We covered this a couple streams ago. Those are all the same person. Okay, and the occult are obsessed with him. He reigned over everything. You have the Tower of Babel before the creator intervened, according to Genesis, and then spread everyone out with different languages. And that was the first world order, right? They're going to build it again. So Osiris is another one of those names of the same person. The mighty hunter, the super just king that ruled over the world. The story goes that he was dismembered into 13 pieces, and then Isis went and looked for all the pieces because they scattered them, and she found everything except for his penis, and then replicated it with the golden phallic and tried to impregnate herself, is the story. Well, you have America founded, right, as the New World, and you have 13 colonies, the capital being Washington, D.C., and they have the Washington Monument. So the Washington Monument's height in inches is 6,666 inches. And the base is 55.5 feet, which would equal 666 inches. Okay, so you have Trump. This is the summary here. You have Trump basically renovating all of D.C. and talking about a third term. Obviously, during a war, suspension would get elected. That would be the smoothest way, not running for a third term, just like suspending elections, similar to what Netanyahu did when he was supposed to go to trial and people wanted him out and they were protesting. Well, now they're in war, so he's just there indefinitely, right? This is just what people do. Same thing with the guy from Ukraine, right? The actor that plays the piano with his penis. So my point is, like, it's like he's setting up shop, like it's his home, like he's going to be there, and he's renovating everything. He's talking about building an arch in DC. And again, it's going to have Apollo with the cover of the Statue of Liberty. And it's going to be in gold, and they've released the AI renditions of it. Now you have him trying to rebuild this ballroom, and you have Charlie Kirk assassination. As soon as he's asked about it, he says, oh, look, we're starting the construction to the ballroom. You have a judge come in and say, yo, you can't do this. You can't just build whatever you want. Right. And he's like, oh, we're doing privately funded. So they sue them. They sue him. And in the civil court, it's like National Park Services versus whatever it is. And it all comes out that all of the funders enjoyed anonymity. And now that it's come out, it's like Palantir, Meta, like all Google, all the major companies that are involved in like big tech AI surveillance system that they're implementing right in front of everyone's face. And those are all the people that have invested into the building of this ballroom, and then the military complex that's underneath it, which that also came out in the suit. Then Trump came out on Air Force One and acknowledges that there's going to be a super sophisticated military complex underneath it. So they're going to have like this highly advanced and sophisticated surveillance system, right? Underneath. I was just thinking, because it's like, if he's going to build his palace, then you'd have to have the Holy Mountain in the sea. And if you're kind of trying to claim that's the U.S., you'd have to find a way, I guess, or yeah, what would be the Holy Mountain? And Washington, D.C. can't be Jerusalem without the Holy Mountain. So anyway, it is in the Middle East as far as I can see here. But anyway, and you look at the blueprints, okay? So let's just take a step back. Then there's like this assassination attempt. They're like, oh, see, told you we need the ballroom for security, right after the judge said you can't do this unless it's because of security, Very convenient. First thing Trump talks about is the ballroom. All the conservative speaking heads come out and talk about the ballroom, the ballroom, the ballroom. We'll pull it up. It's just they all post like basically the same thing, slightly worded. They got the order to say it, right? Everyone's talking about the ballroom after that immediately. So see, this is proof that we need the new ballroom. Okay, so how convenient. That alone shows you, doesn't prove it's fake. It just shows you a pattern that's undeniable, a very clear-cut motive. When we start to look into the actual specifics of the assassination attempt, none of it adds up. It's ridiculous. And so it makes a lot. Now we're seeing guys eating steak that pop out of nowhere or whatever. You're watching a movie and it's all very crazy, right? And so that shifts us over here to where basically, the DC is going to be renovated with a new military AI surveillance headquarters underneath this new ballroom. The blueprint comes out, and he announces this ballroom. And he just talks about it. He's so obsessed with it. He's personally designing it. He's like, I want gold everywhere, right? He shows the blueprint, and it matches Solomon's temple. What are the odds of that? What are the odds? And of course, it's an ongoing project. So if they slightly revise the blueprints here and there, it could end up being exactly like Solomon's temple, which would be crazy. And that would be the smartest way to do it, to get it to fly under the radar. It wouldn't be exactly the same at first. You would just slowly change it and renovate it and revise it as the construction's ongoing. It's roughly $300 million. Now they're talking about clearing $400 million. He claimed it was going to be privately funded, and now he's coming out talking about how it's not going to be privately funded via Ted Cruz. Okay. There's a Bring America Back to Reading the Bible week. It ends on the 25th, same day as the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and then assassination attempt. And then you have Trump reading a Bible verse. And what does he read out of the whole Bible? He reads Chronicles, where it talks about Solomon just got through building his temple. You got to be kidding me. It's ridiculous. So that's kind of the summary there. We're going to cover like a little bit more. We're going to finish covering that just to kind of bring all those conclusions there. I got a couple more like gems that are crazy. The gravy is pretty wild with that rabbit hole. And then we're going to hit you with the updates on the UFO disclosure, which is clearly just around the corner, and it's going to be crazy. So if you want to watch the end of the stream, kick.com/Witsit, where we can be completely uncensored. And hopefully I can end up getting verified there. Okay. So thanks for kicking it on YouTube and I guess on X. And I will see you guys over on kick.com/Witsit. You can also go to witsitgetsit.com. You can watch the stream on Kick through the website. You can chat on Kick through the website. So you can do everything you can do on Kick on the website through Kick. And you can also have a members only chat if you sign up on the website. And you can send a super chat there as well. And then for the stream tomorrow going forward, I'm trying to set up a TTS for the people that submit donations to the website. Okay, cool. Much love, YouTube. I need to go over here and personally end it. Oh yeah, I just had an assassination attempt, but you know, the ballroom. Oh yeah, they were just like trauma-based mind control on a massive scale where Charlie Kirk gets assassinated in front of everyone. Yeah, but my ballroom. All right, cool. Much love, YouTube. See you guys on kick.com/Witsit. Peace. All right, what's up?